So I hope that you really enjoyed that disturbing little documentary clip. It might make you just even a tad more cynical about modern politics, right? Um, but I think it really does a good job of kind of showing an intellectual history that has a legacy so thoroughly relevant to now. And that's why I wanted to focus on Machiavelli and the Prince. I thought I could focus more on the science. Um, I would have liked to maybe gone into Copernicus more or Galileo, but I feel like a lot of you have been exposed to that, and I think that this clip on the Prince really should be an eye opener, and especially when it talks about Henry Kissinger being into the Prince. And then if you take my world history class 107 and we talk about Latin America and U.S. foreign policy and Henry Kissinger, all these things kind of come together and they start making sense. And, and then just the very fact, the wide range of people from Mussolini to Stalin to Henry Kissinger to, Tony Blair, all of these different things come together. And so I kind of wanted to draw in this Western legacy into the modern Western world, and show you just about how potent certain things in history can be and remain. So I'm not going to cover very much the monarchy is the foundation of the state system. It's a little bit complex and it requires a lot of discussion, and yet it's very important. I think why I'm going to really end with just focusing on the Prince is that I just want you to kind of see that certain things about politics now, the way that politics operate, the idea of what political people in a modern nation state should be doing. Much of this comes from this time period, and taxation systems, the way that they're done, all of these factors, which I assume that you've read in the text, should make you realize that the modern world in which we live is relatively new. I mean, if you consider where we started off in this class, and we go up into 15th century now, and here we are in the 21st, and then you just look at the fact that World War I mean, I would argue that we're not going to talk about World War I, but World War I and World War II is Europeans trying to resolve issues that really go back sometimes further than this, but the question of what actually is a nation state and where these borders should be drawn. If Austria is German speaking and so is Germany, why wouldn't Austria be a part of Germany? Or if there's all these Germans in Sudetenland and Czechoslovakia, wouldn't they be considered a part of Germany? What do we do with all these Germans in Russia? We know about ethnic cleansing and the Nazis and the Jews, but we don't know a lot about post-World War II when Germans were expelled from Czechoslovakia and Germans being transferred in Russia. And so many of these things deal with issues related to back then, and the idea of these standing armies, especially in World War I. We get where we're just building up all these standing armies and so on. So I just want you to kind of really realize this, and then also remind yourself when you're seeing the Middle East and the issues of borders and the chaos going on there, it shouldn't seem so foreign from the rest of the world. Just even looking at the vendetta system that we saw in these times is quite astonishing, that little section in this chapter. So yeah, keep all these things in mind. Here's a good picture of the vendetta, and just to make it clear, this seems so barbaric, right? This idea of this time where there's all these glorious political achievements and art, and then such violence in the streets, and then we shift to the duel. I don't know if you realize this, but Andrew Jackson, who's on your $20 bill, he did a lot of controversial things. One is which he had a bullet removed from his shoulder blade while he was a president from a duel he had in his life. He killed many people in duels, and once somebody insulted his wife, and the guy was known as a good shot in town, and the guy shoots Andrew Jackson, and he kills him. Andrew Jackson wins. Andrew Jackson said, I would have killed him if he would have shot me in the face. This was our president on the $20 bill. Okay. And, so the legacy, even throughout the European legacy, not just Italy, on vendettas and honor killings, so to speak, was a long-lasting one. Just something to keep in mind. And that wasn't the only case of duels, as we know famously in American politics. Okay, so again, there's a lot of important things here. I'm just gonna have to skip over some, but I'm hoping that you are continuing to read your text and use it as a complement. My lectures as a complement to that. Here's where we're going to end up looking at the world at the end of this section. And the last documentary, the little video clip from Crash Course on the Renaissance is not required as a part of your note taking. It's something that you can write about to think on the topics that we have for your assignments this week. And always know that, and when I have you watch documentary clips, I don't always agree with all the analysis of the Crash Course. Please don't ever assume that, and I think I've said this before, when I show documentary clips of any kind, they're credible enough for me to show them as a history academic, but historians don't always agree. People don't always have the same analysis, and sometimes even good historians get certain particular things wrong. And you should always even question me. I just want you to be critical thinkers. There's room for your professor to make a mistake. I've seen textbooks have errors. This is addressed in my grad school and upper division history classes. I have strengths in certain histories while I'm weaker in other parts. So, following this humanist tradition that we're learning coming out of the Renaissance, I want you to be that Renaissance person, and I want you to think about the tools that you're learning in college to make you a critical thinker, to not just take for granted the knowledge that's provided. And as many of you are learning, some of you are very religious and do not take the secular historian perspective, but here you are at least exposing yourself to that. And sometimes it's going to be vice versa in life. So it's always good when we're able to maintain our own integrity for where we stand, and at the same time being able to analyze and break down how knowledge is coming to us. So that's what I'm going to end here on this section saying, and I look forward to seeing all your comments as we get into this week's topics.